What's up? This is Rebel Radio.
What up? What up? This is DJ Newmark.
This is Peanut Butter Wolf.
It's your boy. It's okay.
Keep checking out Rebel Radio.
Rebel Radio.
This is Rebel Radio.
We're in the place right here. Rebel Radio is going down.
Would you say Rebel Radio?
Oh, wait. Let's do it again.
Rebel Radio.
Hey, what's up? Welcome back to Rebel Radio. I'm your host, Josh Levine. My guest today, SuperCW, our first super on the show. We get into some deep stuff here. I want to warn you, we get pretty personal with the show, which is unique because usually we sit around and talk about nothing for an hour and just waste your time. But today, real talk. SuperCW is a DJ from Honolulu. She's part of the Powwow crew, if you're familiar with the Powwow art shows. She's a blogger, a marketer, and come next month, she'll be our first TEDx speaker that we've had on the show. She's also the founder of Aloha Cancer, and she's in the process of making a documentary called Snapchat Cancer. If you go to her website, which she'll promote later in the show, she tells you you can download a free survival kit for how she was able to survive cancer and how you might do the same if you're faced with such a challenge. Anyway, it's a pretty exciting show. We get pretty deep here. She's going to give us some really important lessons into how she's been able to make her life work and in fact, even stay alive. And, you know, the word that comes to mind is flow. For her, it's all about finding your passions and working really hard. And now let's hear our interview with SuperCW.
I was surprised myself. I learned a lot about myself. I didn't realize that I was as smart as I was because I was so used to being struggling and then going to boot camp and like doing so well. I was like, hey, and I qualified for this like high level clearance. I got to go work for NATO.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they were like, you can pick, like, here's where you tested. You can pick here. You can pick here. You can do like communications or like some other crap. I was like, oh, communications, is that like PR? It's not. It was like antennas and radio frequencies and satellites, so you had to like memorize the weirdest crap.
Oh, man.
So I had to struggle really hard to do good in school. But I did, and I graduated in the top of the class, got to pick my orders, and I got to go to Italy. So I was in Italy for 3 years, then I was in England for 2 years in this like crazy, super secret, like I wasn't even allowed to talk about it when I lived in town place. And then came back to the U.S. I was in San Diego, which I hated. The people in the Southern California were just, it's like a big culture shock after living in Europe for so long.
I'm sure.
But then Hawaii was like the Goldilocks and the Three Bears, you know, because they hate America too.
Right.
But like it is America, so it's.
No, I get that.
Have you been there?
Yeah, I've been a bunch. You know, for vacation, I went once. So I used to be a manager, and my artist, we opened for P. Diddy in Hawaii. It was like a radio show.
Fun.
So the station from here flew everybody out. And we got...
What year was that?
That was 96.
Oh, that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Because he came back when he was on 5-0.
Oh, yeah. No, this was like way before
all
that. It was, you know, All About the Benjamins was like, just came out or whatever.
Oh, wow.
So we were doing that. So we went out there. That was fun, you know, and we went to a couple of the stations there and did interviews. And like, I got to see like the non-vacation Hawaii.
What did you eat? Do you remember?
No.
Oh,
I mean,
they have really good food there.
We were just Honolulu.
Yeah.
But it was great. It was cool. And then I've been to a bunch for vacations.
It's magic.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But it's funny you say that, you know, like, it's, you know, I can sense, like, I get that they hate the U.S., they hate America, right? But, like, that never comes up.
Of course not. No,
right.
Because there's, like, this humanity thing that they're really good at that we're not, and that's you treat people the way you want to be treated.
Right.
And it's like...
But also, I think it's
just
you
have
know...
compassion for people when they're dumb and entitled and rude, and you're just like...
Sure.
But you know, like, deep down, they're like...
Well, and also I think that, you know, the fact that it's a state, like, there's this... Like, it kind of glosses over a lot of, like... I don't know, I don't want to make this about politics, but, like, you know...
But, yeah.
Like, you can just tell that there's a lot that's been unsaid about that whole relationship.
Well, yeah, and like, you know, nobody asked.
Right. That's what I mean.
So that's, there's definitely, you feel that vibe, but it's good because they're such good people, and they're so kind, and it's like you could learn a lot. Like I learned so much. Like I moved
Yeah.
there and over the holidays of '02, so it's been 15 years now.
Wow.
And, I mean, it was a 3-year gig at this Intel Center, and it was the first place I'd ever been where I just felt so home, like so, because I grew up in Washington State, like in the Northwest. And,
Yeah.
But I mean, I couldn't leave. I couldn't
That's so
leave.
cool.
And by that time I had done 11 years, and I was like, I'm done. Then I had to like figure out how to
11 years,
live
long
as a
time.
human without. I mean, you have to think about what you're gonna wear to work and all these things I've never thought about,
Sure,
like
yeah.
money, like because they just pay you
Right.
more money than you can spend when you're
Right.
single, and you're just like, oh my gosh, like life is expensive, especially now. Oh, but I
Hawaii is
figured it out.
expensive.
Hawaii is expensive, but that's
Yeah.
what's cool about it is because people who live there, they're making some kind of sacrifice to do it, you
Yeah.
know? And so
Yeah.
there's like this spirit, like a vibe of
Yeah.
like, I want to be here vibe. And
Yeah.
it's really cool.
That's cool. I think LA is a lot of that too in a different way, right? Like it's a magnet for people that, want to build something.
Oh yeah.
They want to build, now it's all about them. They want to build their careers and their personal brands or whatever, their celebrity, but still, like it's this community of people that have chosen to be here
Yeah.
for a reason, Well, I'm glad you're here. I was excited. This show, I don't know how much you know about us, but, we try to talk to people that have really interesting journeys and that are, entrepreneurs that are impacting culture and doing it kind of in their own way. And I think that's one of the things we're discovering is that everyone's path is different. And the more I've been reading about you, like just fascinating.
Yay. That means a lot coming from you because you know a lot of people that are amazing.
Well,
Wow.
I mean, your story is pretty incredible. And, I know we're going to talk about the cancer stuff, which, but even without that, like your journey's pretty amazing.
Thank you.
And so what I got, excuse my summary. I don't mean to summarize you in 3 sentences, but I saw that you're a DJ and you're one of the creators of Powwow, and you do marketing
yeah.
with Young's Market, right? And then you've got this amazing cancer survival story
Yeah.
that
Wow.
I hope you'll share some of that with us. So anyway, welcome.
Thank you. It's great
Appreciate
to
you
be here.
being
Thanks
here.
for having me.
What brought you to LA?
I just went to Coachella. It's my first time.
Oh, cool.
I got a really lucky break to get invited as an artist guest. So I was like, YOLO.
Nice.
And it was amazing. It was such a great, I've spent a lot of time in the Do Lab. And
Yeah.
those people are so real.
Yeah.
But I wanted to take 3 days to relax before heading up to Denver for this cancer convention. And
Cool.
this is every time I come here, I always have so much fun. It's like,
Yeah.
it's always different. I try to not have a plan and go with the flow, and it always winds up so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm curious. I mean, I'm a huge Coachella fan. Those guys are like family to me. And I'm, I'm an advocate that everybody should get there
At least once.
at least once and
Yeah.
just see it. And so I'm curious, but you've seen so much. What's your reaction to having your first experience?
Well, I think the most important thing is you need to be really prepared, for the weather and for
Yeah.
comfort and for your plan. I think the more loose you are about who you want to see, I think the more fun you'll have because, you have to be healthy.
Right.
It's a lot of walking and it takes a lot out of you,
Yeah.
So it's just drinking a lot of, I just was sick, but I was drinking a lot of water, taking vitamins, making sure my immune system was up, doing my best to stay away from like the negative because there's, it's 100,000 people. So of course you're going to have all types of people there, but
Sure.
You just go stick with the stuff that is good and around the people that like, if you have these people who are just all on their phones talking weird about weird stuff, just move, to a better area to enjoy,
Right.
to watch LCD Sound System live. Oh my gosh. It was, and also, and it's like, I know this can't be controlled, but it's probably really good to go right after an icon passes away because there's just the most epic tributes.
Oh,
and it's
yeah.
it brings everybody together in a way that I don't think that could ever be duplicated in any other way, I'm getting the goosebumps thinking about when they played his Coachella performance
His
in
set.
2008.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Just the reactions from everybody and
Yeah.
and then to see, to see a lot of the music live and be in like with like-minded people. I loved it. I thought it was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. I went first weekend and then, Prince died the week in between.
Yeah.
And there's a big part of me that wanted to be there that second weekend and really kind of process that with everybody.
It was the best way to do it. It was
yeah.
the best way to do it.
I
Because that was
bet.
hard, you know.
Yeah.
You must have, I mean, anybody, I
Yeah.
think, who's like our age,
For sure.
he was huge for
Yeah.
like growing up. But
Yeah. So you were always into music. Obviously, you're in band.
Yeah.
how'd you first get into music? What was the music that impacted you when you were young?
Oh, well, my mom was really into funk and, you know, like Kool and the Gang and Cameo. And Prince was her more modern pop record, but that's the one
Yeah,
that
that was
I wasn't
later.
allowed to touch her records, but that's the one when she was at work that I was always playing. I was like, I had
that
that
right?
cover memorized of him on the motorcycle with Apolloni like lurking, you know. But
Cool.
my sister and I, we were a little bit more new wave, you know. We liked like In Excess and Depeche Mode, and so this is like growing up in the late '80s, '90s.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we like pop music too, but my mom's soul and funk like kind of stuck with me, I think, and now I actually really like playing that now, which before I was all about the pop music since I was a kid.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, oh geez, I can't even think of when that started. But I know I went into classical music in school. So from 5th grade, you know, when you can pick an instrument.
Yeah.
So I picked the drum. It just looked like fun,
Cool.
you know, just hit a drum. So I stayed with that all through high school, like all the way, but went into the classical music program outside of school, the Youth Symphony, which was like, you really need to know what you're doing. And I pretty much never learned how to read music. I tried so hard when like I would write the note, like if I had a mallet percussion piece, I would write the notes in and memorize it just so I could play it. Cause
Oh, wow.
I never could learn that. And after like, you know, the higher up you go, you need to learn how to, you can't. So I was like, so that's when I kind of just like fell off and joined the Navy. But you know, I was always listening to music, and I was always the nerd in the corner of the party with the playlist.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's my thing. You know, it was always my thing. That's what I was known for. It's like, oh, Krista, like making tapes for people, making CDs for people, and just sharing them what I was
That's so
listening
cool.
to. Yeah,
Do you remember the first record you ever bought?
Kick, In Excess.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a good one.
What a great record.
I loved their videos too. Their music videos were so good.
Yeah. So did you ever think, I mean, you know, it's so weird. I was not a musician, although I studied a year of trumpet in 4th grade. And, you know, and I was super into music. I always felt it was so weird to have like like you could only play classical, but then you didn't, that's not what you listened to.
Yeah, you listen
know
to
what I mean?
everything.
Right.
Everything.
Yeah.
Even stuff you don't like, you're listening to it just to hear like the instrumentation and just to be exposed to as much as possible.
Sure.
I would have to say.
Yeah.
But when you have that, listening to a full symphony, and especially playing percussion and being in the back of the orchestra when like the brass is all right here to your left and all the strings are in front of you and you're also getting that energy from the crowd who's just like all clenched depending on what you're playing, you know. I'm getting the goosebumps just talking about it. It's a great feeling.
Yeah.
And I loved it. And most of the time in percussion, we had T-shirts that is like of our section because it's us just moving equipment because that's pretty much all we were ever doing was moving equipment or sitting and resting. And we hardly ever played, especially for the big pieces.
Right.
But when you do play, it's just,
Right.
you know, so it's like save the best for those moments.
Yeah. And were you in other like bands playing popular music too, or
No.
just
I was
symphony?
a huge nerd.
Yeah.
Just in the school band and then the school orchestra and then
Right.
the outside orchestra.
And did you think, was there any thought that was going to be a career?
You know, I did a lot in high school. I was like in the student government and the speech club and everything. I just did as much as I could. I was like, I don't know if you can tell, I have a lot of energy, you know?
Yeah.
So I had to be really busy and I was doing a lot of stuff. I wasn't too sure what I wanted to do, but I know that I really liked writing and I really liked English and music, of course, music. But, studying music after high school, I was thinking that I wanted to be in that industry. But at the time, it seemed like everybody was either just going to be a teacher or a professional.
Right.
And that, for me, I knew I was having a hard time reading music and I was never going to get anywhere.
Yeah.
And I was feeling like, oh, I need to figure this out. And that was when the Navy kind of knocked on my door and I just got swooped up with that. And that was a whole nother lifetime of amazingness for
Sure.
me.
Yeah, I
so
bet.
great. I would recommend it to anybody who doesn't know what they want to do if they're young. Because it's a great experience. It's like Coachella, right? You know, you get out of it what you
make
put
it,
into
right,
it.
sure.
It can be very terrible, but it can also be really amazing.
Wow.
It was great.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So then you get dropped in Hawaii.
Right.
And what's the plan?
I didn't really have a plan. The 3 years that I had the gig, I was working at a help desk, like a night shift. So I just had a lot more time on my hands, and that was when I started blogging. And I was a computer nerd already, and that was kind of my gig in the Navy. So I was hand coding this, I don't know. Do you ever remember Teenage Unicorn or like Patrick O'Dell from New York?
Mm-mm.
Or here, there's a guy, the Cobra Snake, kind of.
Yeah, sure.
But he's not. I mean, that's just sort of the vibe I had, but it was like mine was more writing with the photos because the photos were terrible.
Oh, okay.
But I was like telling a story, and I would hand code it and have a new story every week with like maybe 100 photos, and I did that every week, every month for like 8 years, and just that.
And was it like nightlife stuff too, like Cobra Snake, or
it was pretty much all nightlife.
Yeah.
And it was called Honolulu. It still is called Honolulu Nightlife Diaries.
Uh-huh.
I've updated it to like a WordPress, but I still have the old school entries there because they trip me out now because people are searching. I can see that what they're looking for to find it, and it's just they're always looking for people. And it was back then, if I bumped into whoever, it wasn't just like, oh, here's a picture of him. It's like here's his entire backstory and like a link to what he's up to, and it was just sort of a way to keep everybody connected. And from that, I think I got everything. I mean, I got the job at Young's.
Mm-hmm.
I got the nightlife column in the Weekly, which was huge for me because I'm not a professional writer.
Sure.
So I did that for 5 years, and that was amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, I loved it. I love writing, and even though, same with music, if you just do it and you don't expect anything from it, you just do it from your heart, it's gonna happen for you. Because I was asked to learn how to DJ, and it wasn't something that I don't think I would have ever done it.
Who asked you to DJ?
It's this kid, Jamie. He's in a group called the Nocturnal Sound Crew out of Hawaii,
Okay.
and they're like 2-time ITF world champs. They're great turntablists, and they've been around forever. And he's a friend of mine, and I've helped them a lot. I've booked them for my parties, and they're just so much fun. And I had just won this Red Bull Play and Destroy challenge. It's like an iPod song selector challenge. But I was like, this is made for me. That's my thing,
Yeah.
I love that kind of music, where you just get to pick out the songs according to a mood and manipulate the mood of the room, which is what
Sure.
I really love about it. And he was like, out of nowhere, he was just like, I have an idea. Why don't you DJ at a Thursday at M? Because I think they probably just needed something. And I was like, haha, very funny. I don't know how. And he's like, no, I'll teach you. Because this was maybe in October, and it was for a December gig. And he did. I went to his studio, and I already had so much music in my computer, and he was showing me just how to like make the cues in Serato, and then he was like started to do this he thought because I had a percussion background that I would like be good with the turntablism, which
Right.
I was not. And I was like, how about can we just start like back up a little, just show me how to play this song and that song, and like without it sounding like crap. Like, can I like teach me how to like beat match and like blend it with this software, whatever this is? And it was Serato, and so I did that. And I just worked really hard on the set. I wanted, because it was like my one set. I was just thinking it was my one gig, And I just put together, I had everything.
What'd
And
you
I
play?
had like Cut Copy and like Aesop Rock and like, The Cure. Like all of my favorites from back at like Roger and like the Zap Band and and then like modern stuff. And like Passion Pit, like for me, I really like that like new disco indie dance sound, like stuff that just makes your face light up and you're smiling. And I'm not a huge hip hop person, but I played a little bit because everybody loves that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, but like really pretty remixes of like Henry. There's this guy Henry Land. He uses a lot of instruments to remix popular hits. And so yeah, I don't know. I'm from that gig. That was the one gig I had, and from that gig, just everybody who came to see me, I got a residency and 2 other gigs, and then another residency just from the one, and it just everything snowballed from that. And for me, it was like, whoa! I kind of got yanked into what I should be doing. And once I got a taste of that, and I started playing more, and I was playing weekly in Waikiki, which is anything goes. You don't know who's going to be there. It could be Australians, it could be who love flute, it could be, like people from Minnesota who only want to hear Drake, and it could be whoever, old people who I could play Bruce Springsteen and the Police, and they'll like have so much fun. So it really I really developed technically, and from that, playing every Monday, it was so much fun.
So did you know that first night that you were like?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I could feel it. it was like being able to share with them what I wanted them to hear, like things that I really love, and to see them picking up what I was putting down. And I mean, I don't know, it was, you know, because if it's a room full of people that you know, it's probably going to be a lot easier.
Right.
But it's later, like playing every week in Waikiki after that is what I think really, really made me understand, okay, I can do this. I love this. And then, I don't know, it was like maybe a couple years, and then I was just starting to like headline things. And I mean, it's small in Hawaii, and like everybody moves on if they're good. Like Jamie now, he's in Vegas.
Sure.
And it's just, you know, there's only maybe 5 or 6 really solid DJs that play regularly there, and they're great, and I look up to them so much. But you know, if you just stay true to what you're trying to do, and I like, for me, I have like a really pretty specific sound. I mean, I like to play house, like melodic house, and just you stick with that and with your sound, and then people are reaching out to you to play. I mean, I just got to play the Love Festival, which is huge for me. I got to open for Thomas Jack, which was huge. I got to open for Above and Beyond both nights, that was a sold out crowd, and it's these kids who are coming for trance, and I don't play that,
Right?
But I play from my heart, and I was just like, this is what I really want you guys to hear, and I hope you like it, and they did, and it was just like, it's the best feeling.
Does that ever not work?
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, you know, it depends on the crowd. You got to be able to be sensitive to who's there, and you got to be sensitive to, like, you know, why you were booked, where you're playing, who's there, what they want to hear. I mean, you really have to be that person, but so it just makes it more special when you are able to play what you want. Like, and now ever since I got sick, I don't take gigs. I mean, that weekly that I had, I gave it to this other girl who's up and coming, who's so great, and just all these other. There's a lot of DJs that are up and coming that deserve to like work hard, and I'm 40. It's time for me to like concentrate on my health and wellness. And even though music is a big thing, I'll still take the bigger gigs, but I just don't want to. I can't be playing in Waikiki every night now,
right? Or
every week. So yeah, it just depends on the crowd, but it's so special when you're able to just play what you want to play and what you love, and then see that other people love it as well. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So then, how'd you get involved with Powwow?
So Jasper Wong that's his event. He's from Hawaii, and he was living in Hong Kong.
Okay.
So he was home over the holidays, and that's what's so great about Hawaii, especially over the holidays, is everybody comes home. Like, wherever they are in the world, whatever magic they're creating, which there's a lot, they're all home, and it's back to, you know, just the basics and just hanging out and being cool. And somebody wanted me to meet him. They're like, oh, you got to meet this guy. He writes for Hypebeast. And that was when I was writing for the weekly. And they're like, yeah, you got to meet him. I was like, sweet. Okay, hi. And we hung out that night, and he was really cool. And he was telling me about this event he was doing in China. And he's like, you should come check it out. And I was like, well, what is it exactly? He's like, oh, it's just like this collaborative art show. I was like, all right, I'm there. Like, I was like looking at my phone that night at the flights. I saw that it was pretty cheap. I was like, okay, I'm coming. Because at that point, I'd been with Youngs for 2 years, and I don't think I'd ever taken a vacation. So
oh, wow.
I know. It takes a lot out of you, that job. But I was able to go, and I was just so blown away with what he was doing, because he was focusing on the process and the creation of the art, not the end result. So, which is for me too, like, you know, I'm all about like trying to stay and live in the moment as much as you can, and like stop thinking about everything else. Like, just stop trying to make it happen and just let it happen, kind of stuff. But so for him to highlight that, I thought was great. And he had a few events, and at the last event, it was like this mural jam in the street in Hong Kong, and it was like 5 of them. Pat Lee from Canada, he's like a comic book. He was doing like this Optimus Prime, and then Jasper was painting these pink little nipples at the ends, and it was this really cool collaborative work. But then, and we were all in the street. There's like, I don't know, maybe 50, 60 people in the street watching it, and then they started to like black it out, and we were like, they were like making black, and it was just getting more and more black until the whole thing was completely covered in black paint. And the reaction of all of us outside because we were out there forever watching them paint, and we were just like, what, huh? Oh, and everybody kind of got it. Like, we all had the same reaction at the same time. We were like, oh, it's not about that. And then at that time, they like painted a big old powwow on it, and everybody just started cheering, and it just that. I was so blown away, and I told him, I was like, if you ever want to do this event in Hawaii, like, at the time I was pretty connected. I knew that I could help him make it happen. And I was like, please consider it. This is where you're from. And he did. He like made this PDF proposal, and I printed it in color because it was gorgeous, and met with everybody I could. I met with all the museums, with potential sponsors and venues, and local media, and everything, like from that moment, from when he sent me that PDF to when I just like beat the street and just met with as many people as I knew, everything just happened, and it happened so beautifully and like from the ground up. And it's like one of those things that it's supposed to happen. I mean, and now it's huge, 5 years, and now the first event we had 16 artists that we flew in, and now it's over 100 that are coming in, including like all the media, and it's just it's a huge circus of. If you're in the art world, then you've heard of the event. And for me, I feel so happy that we were able to do this there instead of, because he was gonna, he always had wanted to keep it abroad and take it to cities, but I don't know if he ever really thought of Hawaii, and but when he did it there, it was so special because that's how it is there. People want to help, and they don't want to help because what's in it for me. They want to help because they want to see that happen, and I think that made it magic. And now it's in other cities. We do Taiwan, Long Beach. South by Southwest now, there's a partnership, and it's just gonna keep growing. But for me, it was like letting go of my baby because I had to take a step back, and that's like hard labor, buffing walls and running around and just so much stress. And I just knew that for my health, I really needed to. Same with the DJ gigs, I had to stop, even though I love them so much. It's been, but it's fine because now I'm on to new things, and now this all kind of fell into my lap. So. I'm working on a documentary, and once that's done, I'm going to be taking it to all the film festivals, and that's going to take like a year of my life. So I got to, the same way I prepared for Coachella, I got to prepare for this film. And
what's the film about?
It's a documentary about, you watched the 8-minute video? I have I don't know why, once I got diagnosed with cancer, I wanted to share it with my friends and family, and a lot of them didn't have Snapchat, but I was already pretty good at it and using it a lot. And a lot of them actually signed up to follow me because I was like so that what you saw, the 8 minutes, was a condensed version of like 2.5 hours from when I found out to the end. So like we were not expecting the scans to come back clear after 4 months. Like we just wanted to see where I was at because the tumor was like, I don't know, is this weird? Should we not talk about cancer? It's like depressing, but it's actually not because listen to this.
No, let's talk about
it. The tumor was 10 centimeters by 10 centimeters. It was like a huge, like, by the time I went to go feel what was wrong, the whole thing was hard. I was like, what is this? Because I just couldn't believe that it could be cancer. It doesn't run in my family, and I'm pretty healthy,
Yeah.
I still can't believe it. It's really weird the way that happens. And 4 months later, I had to go in the hospital. My port got infected, but I was only in there for like 4 days. And I was like, well, now that I have to wait a month to do my last dose of chemo, let's just do the scans and see where I'm at with the tumor. And then they come back, and it's like, completely resolved. There's nothing. And it was already in my lymph, in my neck, in my chest, spreading to my lungs. There was a spot in my brain. But then by the time they did the MRI on that, there's nothing. It's all like, and I just did a scan a couple weeks ago, and it's still it's completely gone. It's like nothing happened.
Wow.
And like,
that's amazing. So because of all this, I just looked at my friend. She's my producer, and she was also my caregiver, and we just were like, we have to make a film. We have to, and because she already is like really great with photography and video, and then we're working with the editor from that video, and she's got a great eye, and we have a couple shooters. I mean, everything. It's just like Powwow. Like the more we work on it, and the more I decide this is what I'm doing, it just comes together so perfectly. Like it's like how it's supposed to be. Yeah.
So that's kind of like the next chapter of my life is to work on this film.
So what would you want What would you want to happen with the film?
I want as many people as possible to see it because I want to be at the Q&As at the festivals handing that paper out and explaining to people that there is another option. And if you ever know anybody to be diagnosed, that it's not a death sentence, because I went through that. Everybody goes through that. You're like, cancer, so I'm going to die. And I don't know. I mean, I was in that space for a while, for at least a couple weeks. And I mean, I got yanked out of it. And I feel like a lot of the information that I got, first of all, everybody's like, it's so overwhelming. Everybody's giving you everything. And you're just like, the doctors are talking to you. And it sounds like the teacher from Charlie Brown, like, you're just like, what is going on? I don't know what's going on. I know I'm going to die. So you just kind of start to accept. I've lived a good life. I've done a lot, And then I was like making plans for my mom to come out to Hawaii and helped me pack up my house, which was like really weird now that I think about it, because I was like, that's how ready I was.
Wow.
And then it just as quickly as, well, you saw like what changed everything. And, I'm going to be doing a TEDx talk in July, and I'm not really allowed to talk about pseudoscience. Like,
Sure.
you can't talk about stuff that's not proven, and they don't want you to talk about this spirituality stuff, but I am so sure that that's what happened to me, because how else is like, oh, my friend just happens to live behind a naturopath who just happens to know a cancer guy who can help me without doing chemo. Like, chemo, I think, is what kills people. And if you're just
But
listening
you
to your
did chemo
doctor,
as well.
I did, but I didn't
Yeah.
do that much.
You didn't finish.
No, she prescribed four drugs in 2 rounds. So the first round of the 2 drugs, after a couple doses, she took me off one of them, and then I was on the one. Then she lowered the dose because I was doing so much natural stuff, the high dose vitamin C, the hyperbaric oxygen supplements, and juicing, which she could physically feel that the tumor was getting smaller each time I would see her every week. And she was like, okay, I'm going to reduce your dose of chemo. And then I would never wind up having to do that second round. And I could feel it, though. I know that that's what kills you. Like your organ, like your body
Sure.
is just at war inside with itself, and you can't like do anything but lay there and let it do what it's trying to do. And once organs start failing, then that's when you get in trouble, and it's so sad.
Mm-hmm.
But since this paper and since my diagnosis last year, it's been almost a year. People who've read this and who've done this, who've actually looked for this, like done the specific blood tests and done the natural remedies, curcumin, turmeric, they're better. And there's one girl, she's cancer-free, and there's another girl, she's doing really good. My really close friend who has brain surgery, he was able to get through his chemo with like not as much toxic side effects, feeling strong and healthy, and I think that's really important.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. My grandmother went through chemo, and I watched her, and you said something in one of the clips about like it hurts, but I can't tell where the pain is, kind of thing.
Yeah,
And like I watched her go through that.
it's the worst.
Yeah.
Oh, how's she doing?
Oh, she died
Oh,
15 years ago or something.
was it from cancer?
Non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm so sorry.
But that's
Yeah.
that's what happens. And as you said earlier, there's more and more that diagnosis, and
I must have to send that paper at least 6 to 8 times a week. People are hitting me up like email or Facebook or something, and they don't know me, but they know of me, and they know I'm the girl that just beat it like really quickly, because in Hawaii it's so small, everybody knows
Sure.
everybody. And I mean, at at least 6 to 8 times a week, I'm having to send that out, and
Wow.
that makes me so sad, but it also makes me happy because I'm hopefully giving them something that I wish I had, but I feel like I learned by a full-fledged miracle that it fell into my lap, that I'm a writer. I can share this kind of stuff pretty
Sure.
easily, and that's what I'm going to do. I don't care. Like, so for my goal with the film is everywhere we screen it, you do the Q&A after, and
Right.
everybody can get that paper. And it's like, for me, really, it's just to spread what I've learned without getting detected by the government, because of course they're going to probably come after me because everybody wants to be on chemo. But,
right.
I would just want to try to low-key save as many lives as I can.
So I apologize if this is a weird question, but what did cancer teach you?
Well, it taught me a lot, but I think there's 5 really important things. It's so funny that you asked me that too. And I just know. Because
Yeah,
I
I
had
guess
to
it's
narrow
not
it down.
such a weird question.
Well, no, I know, it's so weird. It's like we didn't even plan that. But I think the most important thing is that you need to love yourself. And I know it sounds so simple, but it's not. And it took me 40 years to understand that concept of self-love, and that how much power you have inside. You just need to have faith and believe and know that you are like a work of God. And so that was a very powerful lesson that I learned, and it sounds so silly, but that was a big one. And just the other one is that we need to help each other. That's what we're here for. It's not, life isn't this competition piece of the pie, or if you get something that means I don't. It's no, you the more you work to make everybody around you successful, and you bring everybody up around you, that's the greatest thing, instead of it's not like this dog eat dog. It's like this, we're going to help each other because we're all one. We're all from the same place, no matter who we are, where we are, what we're doing. And it's our duty as a human to make sure that we can help each other. let's see, what else did I learn? I've never done yoga and meditation, and I know in California that's probably silly. Everybody's been doing it since forever.
That's
but
all new for you.
It's all new for me. I'd
Oh,
never
wow.
done it. I'd never
Okay.
done it. And I get it now. I see how meditate, like, when you quiet your mind. I took a transcendental meditation class, and that was specifically to get ready for this TEDx talk in July, because I just don't want to blow this opportunity. But from that,
That's not part of the TEDx program. They didn't facilitate
No.
that.
I just took
You
it on
did
the
that.
side. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Just because I knew that would be. It's like self-improvement. It's something that if you do that and you learn how to quiet your mind and remember, like, that the thoughts you have might not necessarily be who you are at your pure essence.
Mm-hmm.
And the more that you can do that and it's just like exercise, right? Like, you just got to find the time to do it. And once you do, you just feel so great. And if you can get it in a routine, then you're just on top of the world. So that was something I learned, and I physically and emotionally felt the difference, and I felt more powerful. I could feel my energy, like if I would meditate in the hyperbaric oxygen chamber for an hour, I mean, by the time I got out, the doctor, he opens the thing and there's like heat coming out. He's like, "You're the only one who does that. This happens for."
Wow.
Because I just, like, when you start to harness your own energy and you realize how powerful you really are. So that's something I learned. I also learned that every day, well, every moment really is a new chance to just try again. If you mess up, it's okay, And also too, every moment, every day is like that's a lot more precious than I think we give. Like that is the fact that I got to wake up today and got to come here, and the fact that I'm sitting here. It's like that's so great. And what if I go and eat In-N-Out after this? It's like I'm not gonna beat myself up for it because I'll just try again tomorrow, or an hour.
Yeah.
So that's what I learned, and that's why, like, if you ask me, I feel really lucky that I got cancer. I feel like it's something that it definitely changed me as a person, and it's hard, that situation of like going back to work and back into the real world after seeing and learning and trying to like infiltrate yourself into this world of just everything, that's like when you really need to put into practice the stuff that you've learned, like the compassion, like treating the people the way you want to be treated, like putting the drama shield up and not letting the negativity get to you, because it is your choice how you react, you know, and that the more you can train yourself to be that way, like just the easier life is. And that's what I think somebody I was reading was, maybe it was Eckhart Tolle, and he's just saying, life is meant to be good. It's not meant to be crazy and hectic. And so, like, when you're on the right path, you'll know and you'll feel it. And that's how I feel right now.
I find it interesting that you're so obviously you're a writer, and you're you made the choice to share that journey with everyone publicly.
Yeah.
Was that like a decision? Was it a hard choice?
Oh yeah, it was really difficult. You don't want to bum people out, and you don't want. It's hard to make yourself vulnerable, and you, like, for me especially, I'm like all about being positive even before this, and I would never want to, be talking about something that's so depressing. And so I don't know why, but I did. I don't think. I know in the beginning I was not planning to publicly let anybody know, and something just came over me, and I wrote it all down in a post. But by then I had already kind of figured out my plan, and I knew that I was going to be okay. So it was a little bit different, I think. And also too, I realized that I really I needed to raise some money, because you can't. Right. It's really expensive, especially if you're doing natural treatments. That's not covered by insurance,
Sure.
And if you can't work, you need something. And so I'm glad I did it, because people do want to help, your friends and family, and people who don't know you, but they do appreciate whatever. I mean, there's people out there that do want to help you. And I think anybody who gets diagnosed, they just, if you speak from your heart and you just tell people, it's gonna help you. They'll come out of the woodwork, and it's probably not the people you think, but it's a really good lesson too, to see, who those people are. And it's a hard lesson too, because you think it's these people, and then maybe it's not. But it's okay. It doesn't, as long as there's people out there, and there are.
Yeah. That's what I was wondering. Did were you surprised at the way that you were received, especially within the community in Hawaii?
Oh my gosh. That's another reason why I feel like maybe that it happened on purpose. Like I was blessed because I was like in a really bad place, and just so much love came from so many different, like people who I might have impacted them just in such a small way, step forward, and just to the notes and the letters and the gifts and the things people were saying. They wouldn't just make a donation, like they would say like how I impacted them, and it just made me feel like I needed that, I think I needed that because
Sure.
I always would just do anything for anybody, and when you get that's how Tia is, you just do anything for anybody because that's what you do, and of course people can take advantage of that, and when people do, which they do, that can be very draining, and that can bring you into
Right.
So for me, I think I was kind of crashing, and it was just like the right time to feel like appreciated and to feel loved, and I think that's like I don't know, I feel really lucky. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's all right. I wish we had a tissue to offer you.
I'm fine.
Okay.
Just stop asking me questions like that. No,
Well,
I'm just kidding.
No, I think it's so interesting because especially, in nightlife, and we're in a little bit of a superficial business. And I think for those of us who are in the business, it's really meaningful, right? And the power of music, is great and is important. And not just music, but art and all this, culture moves people. Right, I think we understand that, but it's also entertainment. It's also it's an excuse for people to go out and get drunk and get laid and have fun, right? And so you're kind of balancing those things. And I think when you bring something that's super serious into that, you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Right, and I have friends that have gone through similar situations and have been sometimes surprised at people that showed up or the people that didn't, or just how it all played out.
Yeah. I try not to dwell on it because I have no idea how I would act either.
Right.
You don't know, and it's okay. I talked to some of my friends that I thought were my friends that just couldn't face me, and I was able to understand why. And for some people it's just a really hard subject.
Sure.
And I appreciate that, and I still love them, and I would never hold it against them. So for me it was great to learn. I think the most important thing was just not necessarily to learn who those people were, but just to learn how to love myself and how to just be more confident in myself and not worry so much about, it's not necessarily worrying so much about what people think, but just worrying about other people all the time, period. You kind of maybe overstep that, and as working as marketing director for Youngs, I do events, and I need to make sure everybody's having the best time possible.
Sure, exactly.
Providing this environment of amazing. And so when you're switched on like that, it's a little draining.
Talk about that role a little bit. What is...
Oh, I love it.
Yeah?
I feel that's another thing. I just feel so lucky.
So Young's Market, for anyone who doesn't know, is one of the major liquor distributors. You can maybe explain the basics.
No, it's a family-owned company. It's been around for 125 years. They started in California here, and I think it was they had a store. It was meat store, and they just kind of went with the times, and eventually started distributing liquor and never stopped, and then just sort of expanded into throughout the West and into Hawaii. And I was in the Navy. I didn't know about anything about liquor, but by then the on-premise vice president, he needed a good marketing person, so he started asking everybody, all the night, the DJs, the promoters, the nightclubs, hey, do you know anybody? I need to hire someone good. And he said they all said my name, which I thought was so funny because I wasn't working in the industry at all, but it was just such a great gift. And to go in and interview with him and understand what the job was, I had no experience. I didn't know what the deal was, and but I've been there now for 8 years, and I love it. And my suppliers, they trust me, and I'm kind of their eyes and ears because they can't really afford to have reps out there. And our market is such a small market, but we're a highly visible market. We get 8 million people that come through Hawaii every year. So
what's the job?
I'm the marketing director. So if I can't partner with people who are doing things that can help like me activate like whatever programs our supplier have, then I'll create it myself.
Okay.
So, I basically just need people to be thinking of our brands, drinking our brands, like excited about our brands. And, there's a lot of things that go along with that, like whatever kind of community partnerships that would make sense, like charity golf tournaments, like working with the stores, like working the on-premise, sending promo teams out, like for consumers. But because we're a wholesaler, we our customers is the licensed premise. So like the bars, the clubs, the hotels, the stores. So we're mostly working with how do we get people excited about going to these places and drinking our stuff. And it's very overwhelming, and I learn something every single day. I'm actually really stressed out that I'm sitting here and not at work right now.
Oh, yeah?
But I had to get away. I had to take a vacation, and it's hard to leave that job.
Yeah.
But some of the parties that I had built from the ground up, the Bacardi pool party is a really big one.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was like we had Switch back when he was in Major Lazer. He came. He's a special guest, and we're kind of like the Do-Over guys like Jamie. They're kind of my heroes. The way they have built their party into this global sensation with the same like backyard barbecue vibe, and that was always what I wanted to do with this party, to where you knew you were not really going to be hearing like the same music that you hear in the clubs, but people in Hawaii are just so beautiful, and they need to be half naked. They have to be. They're gorgeous, and they don't care. Like, so the video that we took from the first event, we probably had like 150 people at the first event, but the video we made was really creative and beautiful. And from that video, the next event was like doubled in size, and then it would just triple and triple, to the point where we had like people lining up outside all day. And now the problem is getting a venue that's big enough to handle it. So we had to kind of take a step back. But then it's so weird because when I went back to work in January, Bacardi went to another distributor. So and I felt like that's another blessing though, really in disguise, because that's hard labor too, doing those events. And I was just gonna do it because that's what you do. And I think I need to try to not. But we just picked up some really great craft beer from New Belgium Brewing.
Oh, cool.
I mean, we're always gonna have great brands. So I was telling you about William Grant earlier. They have such a great portfolio, and we're always going to be able to do what we do best, which is build brands. And that's what I love to do. Like from the ground up, like grassroots, like connect with individual people individually and let them help you build like the brand. And it works. Like when you're genuine about it and you're not just throwing money, which is what, that's what a lot of people are just like, here, just take it. Here's $8,000, like burn it. And you're just like, I can't compete with that. So I have to be creative.
Right.
It's great. I love it. It challenges me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get to see and do really, really awesome things. And just being in Hawaii, I mean, being able to make a life there. I could be a janitor in an art museum and I would be happy. But I'd probably be broke. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So talk about Powwow a little bit. I mean, I think, I find it fascinating that, and we were talking earlier about this ConcertCon, right? That, as the world's gotten more digital, like these physical gatherings, I think have become more and more important.
Yeah.
And, art and, part of what is special about graffiti is that it's open to the public 365 days a year, right? Mm-hmm. And yet, now I think we're seeing these things pop up, whether it's, Powwow or Art Basel in a different sphere, right? Or that are gatherings that people want to come together around, their shared interests.
Yeah. I think that's what made Powwow stand out with, like, among a lot of the other existing art events, is because when you're invited to Powwow as an artist, everybody stays in the same house. Right. So they're not spread out in hotels around Waikiki. I mean, it's a very collaborative event because it starts from that. And the first couple of years when it was still pretty small, and I would go up to the house at the end of the day and just sit there and listen to everybody share their stories. I mean, these guys are in the streets and they experience all kinds of things, and that was just, you can't describe how magical that part was. And when it gets so big, it's kind of hard, but I'll never forget how that felt, and the art as a result of it when they were working together, and that true sense of oneness. And it's a lot of egos in any industry, especially art, but that kind of all got pushed aside after, just because I think we put them in an environment where they had to work together and live together. And that's what made it special. And I think after maybe 3 years was when I told Jasper that I wanted to have like a music piece, because I just thought it was important. And, all of the artists, they're all really into music too,
Sure.
So he was like, yeah, cool, let's build it out. So we did. I just, curated a small group of music artists that the same way that the visual artists would come together, then I would bring them together. And our operations guy, Grass, he's the one who designed this shirt, but he built out a studio in our headquarters.
Oh, cool.
Well, what he thought is a studio, because he's an artist. He doesn't
Right.
know. But it was cool. He's like, he put like carpet on the wall and like did like a little vocal booth. And I mean, these guys, they just make it happen. And it was like,
Yeah.
it was so great to work with them. But so we had the music producer. So we had, I don't know if you've ever heard of Graves. He's blowing up right now. He's such a cool kid. So him, and then Jay and Jamie from the Nocturnal Sound crew, and this other kid, Ryan, who moved to Denver, but he's a producer. I wanted to get people who were producers specifically, because they're easy. They mostly can play any instrument, and like to work together and collaborate, they can work on the computer, make tracks.
Sure.
And it was great. And then they DJ'd all the events, like we had our same crew for the week. And we did I think we did that for maybe 3 years. And then I'm like, it was good because you always had music around the festival, and it was these same people. And I think that was really important. And of course, at the end, we have a huge concert, and we have a school of music. So it's kids age 13 to 18.
Oh, cool.
And they have to audition.
Yeah.
They don't take more than 20. So they're for a week. Well, it's a 10-day school. And for 10 days, they get broken off into groups according to what instruments they play. And they don't know these kids, maybe, or they do. And then they form bands, and then they have to like write an original piece. And then they also get to work with the music artists and learn from them. They come and do little workshops with them and feedback. And then at the end, the kids perform at the concert on the stage, their songs that they made.
Yeah.
And it's the greatest.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and they're like, one of the parents, I think maybe after the first year of the school, the second year, she just like wanted to say thank you, and she said, Samia, she doesn't really have friends at school, and her daughter is so talented. Oh my gosh, her daughter is so talented, singer and guitar and drums, and it's just like when you let these kids, especially at that age, just empower them to do what they really want to do, and like let them know that it's okay, and they can really show you what's up. And she's like, yeah, Samia didn't really have any friends, and and now she does. And I think that's so huge, because it's like all her music friends. Ugh. Yeah, it's a great program. I miss them. I definitely want to try to go back maybe after the film, and just because that's kind of an event that's gonna just go forever. Now that it's built.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you think about the film, what you have all this background in marketing and events and all of that. So does that change how you approach building this film and spreading the word about it?
Well, no, I mean, right now we're only focusing on shooting. So we started, I don't know if I said, we started shooting my last day of chemo. It's me ringing the bell.
Yeah.
And right now it's just getting footage, and we're just going to spend this whole year doing that. And it's kind of like any documentary. You don't really know where the story is going to take you.
Sure.
I mean, we definitely already know what we're going to do, but we're at this point, the only thing we're focusing on is just like scheduling and making sure if I'm in a doctor, that I have a shooter with me, that I've got permission to film, and like it's just that. But once we start, I mean, I've already picked out all the music. I've been reaching out to everybody to get permission to use their music just for the screenings, and then when we get the distribution deal, of course we'll pay everybody. But because I'm really specific, I'm very specific with what I want the vibe to be, and it's gonna be like goosebumps. I want people to cry at certain points. And I don't know if you've heard of Petite Biscuit, just like the real moody, atmospheric, good, like that. Just like it's like I feel like there's just something in it that raises your vibration. I know I sound like such a hippie.
That's all right.
Yeah. So, for me, like thinking about how we're going to market the film, I mean, we're going to take it to all the festivals. I mean, we are. There's no question. Like just with the subject matter, but I'll tell you, but don't tell anybody because it's a secret. But, where the direction we're taking the film too is it's not all about cancer. There's going to be a major plot twist that I think a lot of people are going to be really surprised to see. And so that's good because it's going to be very relatable, I think. And, you know, we are going to be able to interview some of my friends who didn't step forward, and we're going to understand that, which I think is a big thing to know.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, as far, like once we get going, I mean, I do know that I just want to try to do as many appearances and talks specifically with this plan so people can have a plan and get it. Because now I've been through the whole thing. I decided not to do surgery. I don't need to do surgery. They, you know, stage 4, of course they want you to just cut both off and whatever. Oh, you can do reconstruction too. And I was just like, do I need to do this? I don't have cancer anymore.
Right.
And she was like, well, no. And I just think about how many women just hack up their bodies.
Yeah, of course.
So anyway, I just see just trying to share this story with as many people as possible. And that's it.
I mean, the way you describe everything is so, like, it's just so fascinating. Like, it just, like, feels like stuff just happens and then you kind of roll with it.
Yeah, now.
Yeah.
I don't know, before. Well, I don't know. My whole life, I guess, has been pretty awesome. But
yeah, do you ever feel like, do you ever say, I can't do that?
yes.
Yeah.
But I don't, like, say that much, and I try not to ever say it. I just picture it and do it.
Yeah.
And I get the idea comes in my head, and I see it happening, and I just work to get to that, you know, like with,
so I
with
guess
events
I
and with
wonder,
everything.
what is your, when you have those feelings that you can't do it, what do you do next?
Well, before, I would probably just sit and stew and maybe never do it. But now I just kind of take a few deep breaths and just keep moving forward. And I don't, you know, I'm trying to think what I've just recently been like, oh, I can't do that. This TED Talk is actually like a big thorn in my side right now.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to let it get to me. I have to do
It's
it.
going to be incredible, I'm sure.
Well, we'll see. I need to forget the word like first. I know it's hard to, like, I got to remember those when you pause and just not talk.
You'll just practice
I'll
it
be
over and
practicing
over.
a lot,
You'll be
yeah.
fine.
But that's something where I'm like, I can't believe that it's not so much I can't do it, it's like I can't believe that I thought I could do it. I just like feel really like overwhelmed, but
Sure.
it's just another mountain I got to climb. I like doing stuff that scares me, you know. Getting up for a gig, oh my gosh. The Above and the Beyond show was the worst because it was sold out. That means there's 1,500 kids that are in there looking at me. And I'm like, all right, here I go. Going to play Cubicolor or like just something that has no build up or drop.
Yeah.
Pretty much my whole set. And like my heart's like, and I'm like, I hope I don't fuck up. I haven't even like turned like DJ'd in so long. But it was like perfect. It was perfect.
Are you the kind of DJ, do you play the crowd? Like, do you adjust?
Not for shows like that. No, for shows like that where I know they're there anyway and they're gonna be there. I play exactly what I want.
Yeah.
And which, luckily, has worked out. Especially, you know, they're open to it. These kids, especially Above and Beyond, is one of those acts. You know, they're like that too. They're about that, but it is like trance. You know.
Yeah.
But they were,
sure.
and I was playing all different types of house, and they were into it, and that just really warmed my heart. I mean, that was probably one of the greatest nights of my life, besides right now. Yeah.
Do you have mentors that have helped you along the way?
My friend, he's the marketing director for BAMP, which is they're probably one of the largest concert promoters. They just built a venue, so they're doing really well out there. But when I met him, he was the marketing director for a nightclub called The Wave, which was everybody who is from there, they have really great memories of that club. It was a very like come as you are, who cares spot. And I was a regular there. And he was the first person that ever just started paying me for showing up, which to me, I was in the Navy. And for me, that just was, I was like, why? He's like, I'm going to put you on the payroll. He's like, give me a W-9. I was like, what do you need me to do? Or what? And he's like, just do what you do. Because I was blogging so much. And
Right.
So I guess that was like the first time I ever really got paid to do something besides fix computers. And it was, I really respect him for recognizing the power of a more of a grassroots kind of marketing where, you know, I guess I'm considered an influencer. And if you deal with those people, that's going to be better than just trying to like throw a net out and catch as much as you can.
Mm-hmm.
So he's Flash. That's so funny. His name's Flash, but he's somebody that I really look up to. He's my mentor and my friend, and you know, he's very like health conscious and just a good guy. You know, he doesn't really have any anybody that he would ever talk down to or talk shit about, because he's not that kind of guy. And so he's definitely one of my mentors. I'm really lucky that at Young's I've been able to have a lot of people that I can look up to there. The guy who hired me, and people that I can look to when it's getting difficult, and I can see that they've been doing it for a long time, and I just try to see how they would handle situations, because, you know, you're dealing with a lot of stuff in the nightlife industry. I mean, you're dealing with like misogynistic jerks who like think that they can touch your promo models, and it's like, why? Why do you think that? Because you have a lot of money, you think you can like pretty much abuse this woman who's just trying to offer you a shot, like to, you know. But I gotta not let that stuff get to me, and I always look to these other people like, okay, what would he do?
Right.
Yeah, it can be really bad, but you just gotta put the shield up.
Yeah, I think there's a documentary in the life of a promo girl.
Oh, they are. It's like, especially Hawaii, and I'll just say it, even though I don't know, nobody really ever does, but the sex industry is probably even bigger than the tourism industry, you know.
Really?
It's all underground, of course, but it's there, and it's like, I know about it, but I choose to, you know, just try to ignore it. But it's like these girls when they're young and they're beautiful, and it's hard to make a life there. It's extremely expensive.
Yeah.
So, you know, they start them just as maybe a bottle service girl. They start them as a promo model, and then they can see that these guys will just pay them just to be pretty.
Right.
And it's like, oh, and then they'll just pay me let me just call them whenever I need to go out to dinner anytime. And then they kind of just get sucked into this world of like using their sexuality is the only answer. And, you know, and then they get basically like become prostitutes. And I don't know, for me, it makes me sad, because these that's like they think it's okay and they feel like it's okay, and I'm not so sure that that's okay. But sex workers and like that whole prostitution thing was big back in World War II. You know, the sailors would all line up in Chinatown to have their turns and stuff. Really helps with all that aggression, I guess. So I don't know that it should be illegal, but I definitely can see how the girls can become victimized. But you know, I don't know. Ugh, promo model documentary sounds like something I would watch. Yeah, poor girls. They just gotta stay strong, stand their ground. You know. That's right.
What are the girls? I mean, so you work with a lot of these.
Yeah, I love them. I got lucky to work with some great ones. They come and go, though. You know, a lot of them wind up moving to Vegas or LA because they really should. I mean, they can make way more money there, and they don't have to be so like deal with such creeps. Well, maybe they do. Probably
the creeps doesn't change, but there's more money.
Yeah, but I have a few different agencies
what
that I work with.
What do they learn from you?
They learn how to respect themselves. You know, that they don't have to compromise their own integrity to talk to a stranger and try to convince a stranger that they should try this beverage. You know, it doesn't have to be like that. You know, it's for me to. I don't know. It's a good question. What do they learn from me? Because they all definitely, I can see, you know, that some of them look up to me, and I don't know why. I think it's maybe just because I'm always so positive. I refuse to let anything bother me publicly. Like if I'm at an event and everything's going wrong and like the tents have all flown over and like they're over in the next golf hole and like we ran out of beer after an hour, I do not show that I'm upset or anything, because it's like you just don't add fuel to the fire. And in that same line, you don't talk negative about anybody that you've worked with or that you're working for. You're working like all of that, like unless it's a situation where you need to kind of be like be careful with that person, because you know. But other than that, it's just it's better to just not say anything about, you know, like speak highly of the people that you definitely respect, and then just don't even bother with the ones that you don't.
Okay. Are you good at giving people like direct feedback?
Yes.
Yeah.
You have to. It's just a respectful thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you just got to not take it personally. It's better. It just saves everybody time.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. Well, what's happening? What's next with the film? So you're filming now.
So we started shooting in October.
Yeah.
I see that we'll probably be shooting well through the summer. I started a charity. It's called the Aloha Cancer Project.
Okay.
And I'll be working on that quite a bit. That'll kind of be my new baby while we're doing the film. We wanted my partner and I, we both have been diagnosed with cancer, and we've been fighting cancer, and we're both kind of in the public eye. So we wanted to provide, use all of that attention that we got to provide a resource for people who are newly diagnosed, to give them information that we wish we had, and just to make it simple. We do events just learn yoga or meditation, how to eat healthy. We have a chef. She makes, the last event she was teaching us how to make quinoa cakes and teaching people how to kind of change their lifestyle. And then the more money that we start raising, we're going to helping people pay for some of these alternative treatments. Like there's a blood test that you can take in Europe that they'll grow your cancer in petri dishes and attack it with all the different chemo drugs and send you back a report so you know exactly what chemo will kill.
Oh, you're kidding.
But it's not covered by insurance. It's $2,500.
Yeah.
But once we start raising money, we'll be able to take cases and get them that test. And so we have a lot of other programming and things that we want to do, but for me, that's got to be that's the foundation. I just want to be the top of mind of you got diagnosed. Oh, check out Aloha Cancer Project, see what they're doing. And you can go to our site. There's tons of resources, but then also we call it fellowship events where we've decided to live. It's not about because I could not find any good support groups in the hospital or any of the programs. It was just so sad. These people, they're just trying to one up each other about who has the worst story, who's had the most surgeries, who's been in the hospital longest, and it's I have chosen to live, and I want to live a good life and a healthy life, and it's not about how hard my journey was to get here. I'm here I am. And so our support groups, which we call fellowship events, it's talking about what do you like to buy when you go to the store? Would you like to eat the cucumbers or zucchini? I like zucchini because you can cut it up. It's like potato chips, or I like celery. You put sea salt on it. It's like potato chips. And just trying to keep it a little bit lighter and not. And I think sometimes maybe you do need to have that reality, but you can get that anywhere. You don't need to be. That can't be really very supportive.
Sure.
So yeah, I'm really excited about this, and
nice.
we launched it already, and I've already had a couple of events, and we're gonna do more. But now my partner, he had to go to Seattle because his cancer is getting worse, and I feel bad because mine is completely better, and he's just not getting better, and it makes me not really want to. I don't really want to be hey God, but it's just everybody's different. Everybody's different with what they're doing and how they're doing it.
Sure.
And all you can do is support him. Yeah,
it's interesting. You're so positive, and you're so, like I said, sort of forthcoming with your personal stuff. Do you ever question, the mission? Do you ever feel like you're
of the mission of
just
life?
Yeah,
of course. Yeah. I almost there's something inside of all of us, I think, that can just surface, and it's trying to test you to see if you really want it, if that's and it's that negative inner voice of you can't do this, you're not gonna do this isn't gonna work, you should just die. Or sometimes for me it would get that bad, but
sure. So what do you do when that comes up?
Well, before I think I would probably just let it consume me, but now I take a couple of deep breaths and just move on.
Nice.
I do. I try to feed my soul as much as I can, whether it's with music or art, animals, which I love. You guys have this thing out here that Bark and Borrow. It's like Tinder for dogs.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so instead of swiping through a bunch of weirdos that you're probably never going to connect with, it's animals. You could borrow a dog and take a dog for a walk.
No way.
Yeah, so that's going to be a program that I'll definitely want to have with the Aloha Cancer Project.
I'm going to rent out my dogs.
Yeah, you should. It's called Bark and Borrow. But that's what I want to do too, is have art therapy, music therapy, animal therapy when we build our headquarters, and just have it be a good place with good things, because the more you feed your soul, the easier it is to ignore that voice and just remember that it's not real.
Yeah.
Because it's not real. It's not. And it's there. It's going to always be there, but you can choose whether or not you want to listen. And
yeah, I had a yoga teacher teach me 20 years ago that just to kind of let that thing happen when it's happening, just let it happen, and it's going to be over.
Yeah, that's a good way
and
to
it's
look
so
at it.
But I've spent the last 20 years trying to actually get that right.
You probably never will, but it's every day is a new chance to try again.
Right.
Absolutely. You gotta just keep trying.
Just don't fight it. Don't argue it down.
Yeah.
Just like let it go.
Just like it's there, acknowledge that it's there. Like
Yeah.
maybe even appreciate the fact that it's there. Be grateful that you have
Sure.
it. But then, yeah, like that's a good advice. Yeah, I like that. I'm going to do that. I just feel like everything is good with just like you do the deep breath thing.
Sure.
And you can kind of recenter
Yeah.
quickly. And yeah.
Is there anything you wish you knew that when you were starting out?
When I was starting out with what? I don't know. I think I wish I would have understood the self-love thing a lot earlier, but I don't really have any regrets. I feel like I've been really lucky with everything that's happened for me or what I've made happen in my life. And I have kind of gone with the flow, but like in a really weird way. And like if you look at my LinkedIn profile, it's like all over the place, the things I've done for work, but it's more just about kind of going with it and doing your best and then building that reputation. And
Is that a good idea? Like if you were advising some young college students, is that what you would tell them to do?
to have a LinkedIn profile?
No.
Yes.
No, to kind of go with the flow and
Well,
like,
no, I think you need to find out what your passions are and work really hard and have integrity. And, you know, if it's got your name on it, you got to give the best. You give your all, you know, that's your reputation, and work hard and don't like call people back and don't be known as the asshole, you know. You just gotta, especially if you're just coming up, you know, you really need to be reliable. And I mean, I think about a lot of people that I see come up since because I'm a lot older now, and it's the people who they're not necessarily like, they don't have like an Ivy League degree, and maybe they didn't come from like money or anything, but they're reliable, they work hard, they're trustworthy, and you know, you can depend on them, and they actually care about the work they're doing, they're passionate, and those are the people that I always call first. So yeah, if you're coming up, just work hard, be nice. Work hard, be nice. Is that possible?
Those are good ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's possible. Might not be easy.
Work hard, be nice, but don't let people take advantage of you. Which is like, yeah.
Sure.
You can it's possible.
Yeah. Well, we're almost out of time, but I'm excited to see the TED Talk.
Me too. Oh my gosh.
When is that?
July 9th is the event, so it should be online shortly after.
Yeah. And it's TEDx what?
Honolulu.
Oh, very cool.
Which I like that. It's like, it's no pressure, you know. If you blow it, oh well. A few people see, who cares? But if you're
not gonna blow it.
well, yeah, but it's not like if it was the TED, the TED, you're on the stage with, but like, you know, it's just it's people I probably already know all of them anyway, and so I'm just trying to think of it like that, like it's no pressure, you know. If you blow it, oh well, but if you don't blow it, the opportunity to save so many lives, to inspire so many people, it's there.
Yeah.
So that's like my next big hurdle.
That's awesome.
The TED Talk, then the film.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And when is the film meant to be out?
Who knows? You know how that goes. Like maybe you'll get next year, maybe 5 years, but you'll know. You'll know.
You'll keep us posted.
Oh yeah, everybody will know. You'll be like, oh my gosh, I remember that girl.
Yeah. And when is the next powwow?
It's every year in February.
Okay.
In Hawaii, on Oahu. Cool. Although they do a bunch of other
no,
cities. You can go to powwowhawaii.com. Yeah,
Yeah.
Long Beach. I think Long Beach they just did it.
Okay.
Is this no, it's in June.
Oh,
yes,
cool.
You should check it out. Long Beach in June. But Powwow Hawaii is the website. It's a great site. It has everybody who's ever worked with us and like all of our upcoming events and information about the schools and how you can get involved if maybe you want to volunteer, which is great because that's like a really great way to get involved.
Absolutely. No, that's great. And so if people want to stay in touch with you and follow your journey, where do they find you?
Well, everything on all the social media, I'm SuperCW. I did not give myself that nickname. I got it when I was fixing computers back in the day, because everybody called me CW, and so SuperCW.com. If you want to specifically follow the film and the documentary and learn more about cancer, our website is Snapchat Cancer. And the reason why it's called SnapchatCancer.com is because I saved everything, and it's all the whole story is on my Snapchat. Oh, of course, we're going to be shooting beautiful B-roll and interviewing our doctors and stuff, so it's not. Yeah. But that's kind of like the little backbone of the whole thing. So that's SnapchatCancer.com. You can, AlohaCancerProject.com too has a lot of resources if you just want to know what to do when you're trying to help somebody or if you maybe were diagnosed. So I would say those are the three biggest ones.
I mean, it's so interesting that you did that on Snapchat because, the buzz about Snapchat is that it's for teenagers and it's so like frivolous.
Yeah, I'm gonna put a
And-
dog face and like sex somebody. It's
Right.
terrible. It's a terrible
Yeah.
reputation, but I saw it for what it was, and I just I've always been that person that shares everything on social media, and
I mean, I
I
imagine
like
you
being
must have-
creative, and it's just my thing, to like
Right.
make it look good and share
Sure.
my story. I've been doing it since the analog way of like just with photos and writing, so it was
Yeah.
a natural progression for me to use it, and it definitely exposed it to a lot of people in my world because a lot of them signed up just so they could follow and make
I'm
sure I was
sure.
okay. Yeah.
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 Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So if you know anybody at Snapchat, you just tell them, be like, oh, I know somebody who
Nice.
doesn't use the dog face selfie to sext. She used it for cancer.
That's hilarious.
They would like to know. No, they're philanthropic people. I think they would like to know.
Yeah. And then we always like to know, do you have a favorite DJ?
Ooh, right now, after Coachella,
Yeah.
it's Thomas Jack.
Okay.
But I mean, that's a really hard bonobo.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Like I've said, James Murphy. Oh my God, I saw James Murphy play for maybe 11 hours
Yeah.
at 39. Like DJ Harvey, like the places that you go with these guys.
Yeah.
But Thomas Jack's set, and like there was a lot of his music, and I think it was all his music and his vibe, and I love it. I was like, yeah. I don't know. Do I have to pick one?
No, you don't.
James Murphy. I
That's a
guess.
great list.
I'm trying to think if I could ever hear one forever for the rest of my life. It would be like James Murphy or Harvey. But right now it's Thomas Jack.
Nice.
Yeah.
And what about visual arts? Are there favorites?
Aaron De La Cruz,
Okay.
who's that's these earrings I'm wearing. He does murals, and
Those are
he
cool.
painted my car. I'll show you after. He painted my BMW.
Oh, cool.
It's great. I like Will Barris a lot. He's from France, and he does like this like flowy kind of imaginative scenery stuff that's like whatever has inspired him. And I like Megs. He's out of Australia.
Okay.
He's just such a great person, and just like visually, I really could pick up what he's putting down. I like Mad Steez.
Mm-hmm.
He's got like his color palette's like a very bright like purple, and just he takes icons and makes them even more iconic with his
Yeah.
murals, and he's great. I don't know. There's a long list of. I love Jasper Wong. I mean, he does mostly illustration, but you saw the background on my computer. He's great. He's just got like this.
That's cool.
Yeah. Who's
Yeah,
my
that's very
favorite?
cool.
Who's your favorite artist?
Shepard.
Oh yeah, he's great. Oh my God, he was taking Russell
I hesitate
Brand.
because he's so
No, he's-
ubiquitous, but
Very political.
but he's probably had the biggest impact on me. Like I definitely think he's the Warhol and Basquiat of our time.
when I came out here to see Art in the Streets when that came out, and he was showing Russell Brand around right when we were, and so we were like super lurking just because to hear him explaining all of the art from the beginning to him, it was so fun to listen to. I felt like really grateful to have that experience.
Yeah.
He's great. Yeah, he did a residency program in Hawaii. He DJ'd too while he was there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's so many great artists that are doing stuff, and I love just discovering people.
Yes, the same with music, right?
Absolutely. Especially, when you just go around the world and you see stuff that you just never seen before. And
Yeah.
it's pretty amazing. I think it's easier for me with art than with music.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think with music, like there's such a draw to revisit my favorites, and so I'm sort of conscious of the fact that like if I'm listening to something, I'm not listening to something else, and I kind of have to make myself like continue to discover new music, and I'm glad I do, but like I would be totally happy listening to my iTunes for the rest of my life.
I could listen to this. I could listen to the same album over and over again for months.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you mean. You know what I really like for discovering music is that Spotify music discovery.
I have not used it.
It's
for
pretty.
that.
I mean, I'm impressed. It's pretty
Yeah,
good. Yeah.
really.
And I'm like so jealous of whoever gets to sit around and figuring that out for people.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's automated or
I think
if
it
it's.
is by now.
It's great. It's like that's how I've been able to, it's just you have to populate everything, and then once they get a feel for what you like,
Right.
and they just suggest things for you, it's so good.
Yeah.
It's like kind of effortless, because like when you're digging other ways, you just like you go down the rabbit hole of whatever.
Right.
But Spotify.
So what about? I know you said you started off with funk and soul.
Yeah.
Is there like a go-to? Like what's the record for you that?
Cool in the Gang? I
Which
think I don't know if I can name a specific record because now it's been so long.
Yeah.
But I remember like what they looked. I can remember what they looked like. The Cameo record.
Uh-huh.
And those Cameo and Kool and the Gang were the ones that I liked a lot. I liked Yahoo! I guess that's a pretty popular track, but when I was a kid, like think about when you're a kid and you're just like in the living room like Yahoo!
It's amazing that, I mean, now that song is like, you know, it's what you hear at like an 8-year-old birthday party or something.
Every wedding.
Yeah, but, you know, at the time.
Oh, yeah. I still remember how I felt when I was listening to that. And like,
Absolutely.
Like, when I got into 5th grade and I had the drum that I took home with the sticks and just the one snare drum, and like I had to put the pad on it so it was quiet, but I would like just play along with the music and like maybe just do off notes on the snare, but felt like I was playing along and jamming with them.
Yeah,
it was fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate.
Thank you for having me.
You sharing all this with us.
Ah!
Come back whenever you're in LA,
and I'll be listening too.
And keep us posted. On the movie, you know, we'd love to support
you gotta come
that.
and see it. Yeah, we'll be out here for sure for LA.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome.